Hello, Kuvis. This is a work of fanfiction featuring a boy ex-boy Taekook. All characters and events are purely fictional and created for entertainment and imaginative purposes only. I do not own or claim any rights to the real individuals mentioned. Read with an open mind and enjoy the story as a creative and harmless expression of fan love. No offense or disrespect is intended toward any individual or group. If you don't like it, then don't read it. Thank you.
Priest. Now I announce you as wedded husbands. Taekook looked at each other. Taehyung's eyes were cold while Jungkook's eyes were shining with a little hope. Mrs. Kim. I still don't understand why he chose him. She whispered to her husband. Her voice meant to be quiet, but Jungkook heard it. Every syllable scraped against his skin. Mr. Kim. Jungkook is respectful, well-mannered. That's enough. Tae needs him. That made Mrs. Kim roll her eyes at her husband. At home, Mrs. Kim greeted them at the door with a rehearsed smile. Her eyes didn't quite meet Jungkook's. Mrs. Kim. Welcome home, he said coolly. Mrs. Kim. Tae will guide you to your room. Dinner will be served at 7. I hope Jungkook doesn't burn anything. Kook. Sorry. Jungkook blinked. Mrs. Kim. Oh, I assumed you'd be doing the cooking. That's what housewives do, isn't it? She said, lips curving in fake innocence. Taehyung didn't react. He had already started walking. Jungkook followed, swallowing the bitterness that crawled up his throat. In their room. Their room was large. Immaculate. Decorated in warm neutrals with golden accents. There was only one bed in the center, covered in silk sheets. Taehyung walked in and tossed his phone on the desk. He slipped off his blazer, undid the top button of his shirt, and finally glanced Jungkook's way. Tae. You can use the left side of the closet. I won't touch your things. Jungkook nodded silently, stepping in slowly, unsure of where to place his feet. Tae. If you need anything, just knock on the bathroom door. I'll hear you, he added, voice low and flat. And then he walked into the bathroom and shut the door. Jungkook stood by the window, looking out at the garden lit by soft lights. The room behind him felt too big, too still. Taehyung lay in bed, back turned, silent. Jungkook changed quietly, folding his clothes neatly on a chair. He slid into bed as carefully as possible, staying close to the edge, afraid even of his own breathing. He stared at the ceiling. Married. To a man who wouldn't look at him. In a house where he was unwanted. His fingers curled around the blanket. He had done what was asked, what was expected. So why did it feel like he had just been swallowed by something he wouldn't escape? A few days later, Kook was in the kitchen cooking. It was quiet until the echo of heels tapped across the floor. Mrs. Kim. You've burned the rice. Jungkook flinched. Mrs. Kim stood at the threshold of the kitchen, arms crossed over her chest. Her eyes raked over the stove, then him. Sharp and unkind. Like always. Kook. I kept the timing. Mrs. Kim. Didn't you hear what I said? Smells off. Maybe where you come from they serve hard rice. But here we don't ruin simple dishes. Kook. I'll make it again. Jungkook looked down. Mrs. Kim. Don't waste too much. Rice doesn't grow in your nervous hands. The words were cool and clipped, like knives smoothed with velvet. It wasn't the first time. Probably wouldn't be the last. After a few minutes, Josh entered. He was Tae's younger brother, who had come home after years of studying abroad. Jungkook was setting the table, eyes focused on the arrangement. Josh leaned casually against the doorframe. Josh. Morning, Jungkookie. The name made him freeze. Kook. Good morning. He turned slowly. Josh's eyes lingered a little too long. Josh. You always look this pretty in the morning. Jungkook's stomach turned. Kook. I need to check the soup. He mumbled, walking away without waiting for a response. Josh. Sure, housewife. Josh chuckled behind him. Kook didn't know why he did not like the way Josh was looking at him, even speaking to him, but when Tae was there, he actually acted so innocently that it made Kook rethink everything. But the evenings were different. He felt safer. Over the weeks, Taekook's relationship was developing in a fetus. Kook would ask how his day was, and Tae would reply in short. Taehyung always came home at the same time. He didn't smile or talk much, but he always looked at Jungkook, like he was checking if he was okay. Tae. How was your day? Kook. Mine. He asked, surprised because he did not notice Tae entering the room, and usually Kook would ask Tae how his day was, but not hearing it, Tae thought to ask. Tae. You look tired. Taehyung nodded. His voice wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold either. Kook. I cleaned the study. Took a while. Mrs. Kim didn't like the curtains, so I had to change them. He said with a soft smile. Tae. That sounds annoying. Kook. It was. You're not going to tell me to change anything too, are you? He said jokingly. Tae. I don't care about curtains. That made Jungkook smile a little more. Tae. Did you eat? Taehyung looked at him for a moment. Kook. I was waiting for you. Tae. Are you craving anything? Sweet or spicy? Yes. Kook's heart fluttered a bit. He wasn't used to being asked things like that. Kook. I like Taekook if it's chewy. He said shyly. Tae gave a small nod. Tae. I'll bring some home tomorrow. Don't cook if you're tired. That night, Jungkook couldn't stop thinking about his words. The next few days became a quiet routine. Taehyung would come home, and Jungkook would wait by the kitchen or near the stairs. They didn't talk much, but Taehyung always asked something small. Did you eat? Do you want anything? Are you tired? He was starting to feel something. Something warm. Maybe he was falling. A few days later, Kook was in the kitchen. It was afternoon, and both Mr. Kim and Tae were at work. Mrs. Kim came in and spoke, her tone cold and sharp. Mrs. Kim. So, when are you planning to give this family a child? Kook did not reply. Mrs. Kim. I suppose you think just standing there cooking and cleaning is enough. What use is a marriage if there's no heir? She said, scoffing loudly. Mrs. Kim. I don't know what you two are doing behind those doors, but clearly nothing worthwhile. This family didn't agree to this arrangement just to babysit a pretty face with no purpose. Jungkook lowered his head slightly, saying nothing. Not a single word. His chest ached, but his lips stayed shut. And she left without saying anything more. Kook turned to go to the bedroom, but Josh was there, leaning against the wall, watching him. Jungkook stopped, his body suddenly cold. Josh. Rough morning? He asked, moving closer, eyes drifting down Jungkook's form in a way that made his skin crawl. Kook. I don't want to talk now. Jungkook said softly, trying to step around him. Josh did not move out of the way. Instead, he reached out, fingers grazing over Jungkook's waist lightly, deliberately. Josh. You know, you could always have a baby with me. I'd make you feel things my brother clearly doesn't. You wouldn't have to beg for his attention. Josh's voice dropped lower, too close to his ear. Jungkook's eyes widened in shock and disgust. He shoved Josh's hand away. Kook. Don't ever touch me again, he said, voice shaking but firm. Josh's smirk didn't fade. His phone buzzed in his pocket and he pulled it out, glancing at the screen. Josh. Lucky for you I have to go. But you're not getting away from this. Not for long. And he walked away. Kook ran toward his room, feeling disgusted. He locked the bedroom door and went inside the bathroom with trembling hands. The water ran and he dropped to his knees beside the tub, scrubbing at his skin, at the spot where Josh had touched him. No matter how hard he scrubbed, it still felt there. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. He buried his face in his arms, silent sobs shaking his shoulders. He cried quietly, afraid someone might hear. He didn't know how to say this to Tae. thinking he would not believe him because their relationship was still starting. Kook thought Tae would never take his side, leaving his brother. That night, dinner was quiet. Too quiet. The only sound was spoons and forks. Kook was silent, and Tae noticed it. Every time Josh spoke, even the smallest comment, even just past the salt, Jungkook flinched. His shoulders tensed. His hands shook slightly when he reached for the water jug. There was no laughter tonight. No little smiles from Jungkook. No curious questions like, "How was your day?" Or, "Do you want something sweet after dinner?" Just silence. Heavy and uncomfortable. Taehyung frowned, watching him quietly. Something was wrong. Really wrong. And for the first time, it bothered him. He missed it. The small silly talks. The soft bunny smile Jungkook gave him when he got a reply, even if it was short. The way Jungkook seemed to fill the cold space in the house with just his voice. At Taekook's bedroom, Taehyung lay in bed, eyes closed, facing the wall. He wasn't asleep, not yet. He was still thinking about dinner. About Jungkook. The room was dark and quiet. Until he felt something. Arms wrapped gently around him from behind. Hesitant. Shaking. Taehyung's heart stilled. Kook. I can't take it anymore. The voice was soft. Barely a whisper. But it cracked like glass. Kook. Why does no one see it? Jungkook whispered. His face pressed against Taehyung's back. Kook. Why do I have to stay quiet while they keep hurting me? Taehyung didn't move. He kept his breathing steady. Listening. Fists clenched under the blanket. Kook. Your mom. She always says things about me. About being useless. About babies. Like I'm just here to make one. She doesn't even see me. Jungkook's voice trembled. Kook. And Josh he touches me when no one's around. He says things I don't want to hear. He looks at me like I'm not even safe in this house. Taehyung's jaw tightened. His chest ached at the sound of Jungkook's quiet sobs. Kook. I didn't even want this marriage, but I tried. I'm trying so hard to be good for you. And I don't even know if I'm enough. Jungkook whispered. That was the last straw. Taehyung turned around slowly, not saying a word, and pulled Jungkook into his arms. For the first time he held him. Jungkook tensed in surprise. Then melted into him, crying softly into his chest, like he had been waiting for this moment, this safety, for weeks. Taehyung didn't speak. He just held him tighter. But inside his thoughts were burning. His mother. This entire house. No one was going to touch his Jungkook again. For a long while the room was quiet. Jungkook had cried until his breath shook, face buried against Taehyung's chest, clinging to him like the world might fall apart again if he let go. Taehyung didn't say much, just soft, steady words against his hair. I'm proud of you. You're stronger than anyone I know. I'm lucky you're mine. You're more than enough. More than I ever deserved. And slowly, Jungkook calmed down. His breaths evened out. His fingers loosened from Taehyung's shirt. There was still fear in his eyes, but the weight on his shoulders was just a little lighter. Then, without warning, Taehyung sat up. Jungkook looked up in confusion. Taehyung didn't reply. He just stood and carefully pulled Jungkook to his feet, holding his hand. There was a quiet fire in his eyes now, one Jungkook had never seen before. Still holding him gently, Taehyung led Jungkook out of their room and down the hallway, straight to Josh's room. Without knocking, without a single word, Taehyung kicked the door open. Josh, who was texting on his bed, jumped to his feet, startled. Josh. What the? Taehyung let go of Jungkook's hand for a second and turned to him. Tae, stay right here. Then he stormed forward and punched Josh square in the face. Josh. What happened? Josh stumbled back, yelling in shock. But Taehyung didn't stop. He grabbed Josh by the collar and slammed him into the wall, fist after fist landing with every ounce of fury he'd held back. Tae. Don't ever touch him again. Don't even look at him. Josh cried out, begging, trying to block the blows. But Taehyung's rage didn't stop. Not until both Mr. and Mrs. Kim rushed in, drawn by the sound. Mr. Kim. Tae. What's going on? Mr. Kim shouted. Taehyung finally pulled back, chest heaving. He stood in front of Josh, hands clenched, eyes wild. Tae. He touched my Jungkook. He made him feel unsafe in this house. My husband cried himself to sleep because of him. The room went still. Mr. Kim turned slowly to Josh, eyes filled with disbelief. Mr. Kim. Is this true? Josh stayed silent, lip bleeding. Mr. Kim. You touched him, his father hissed. Mr. Kim. You dared to think about Jungkook like that? He is your sister-in-law. He is family. He is equal to your mother in this house. Mrs. Kim finally found her voice. Mrs. Kim. He's lying. I'm sure Jungkook twisted things. That boy. Tae. Enough. He is my husband. And I will never let you disrespect him again. You don't get to talk about our relationship. Family. Our future. His eyes locked with hers, sharp. Tae. And let me make one thing clear. I don't care about your idea of heirs or your timeline. We'll decide when to have children. No one else. Mrs. Kim's face paled in silence. Taehyung turned to his father. Tae. You can send Josh abroad. You can do whatever you want. But it's either him in this house or me. Mr. Kim. He's leaving. Mr. Kim didn't hesitate. Taehyung turned back to Jungkook, who stood in the doorway, tears in his eyes, watching everything. Without a word, Taehyung walked to him, gently lifted him up in his arms, bridal style, and carried him through the hallway. No one dared speak. Back in their room, the door softly clicked shut behind them. Taehyung sat on the edge of the bed, pulling Jungkook gently into his lap, arms wrapped around him like he never wanted to let go. His voice was quiet, trembling just a little. Tae. I'm sorry, he said. Tae. For not seeing it sooner. For not being there when you needed me most. I'm trying, Jungkook. I'm trying because I like you. So much more than I thought I would. Jungkook's eyes welled up again. Not from pain this time, but from something warmer. Softer. Kook. I like you too, and I'm happy we're giving this marriage a real chance. He whispered, blushing as he looked down. Taehyung smiled, soft and real, and pressed a soft kiss on Kook's forehead. Jungkook, cheeks warm and pink, shyly leaned up and kissed Taehyung's cheek in return. They both smiled this time. For real. Wrapped in each other's arms, they lay down together, hearts lighter, breaths softer, and drifted off to sleep, holding on to the new warmth between them. And just like that, a new life began. One with no pretending, no silence, no fear. Just two hearts learning to love in their own time, together. The end. Thank you so much for reading. Kuvis. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or feedback, or if you'd like to share ideas for future stories or videos, feel free to drop them. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the story, please consider hitting that subscribe button, leave a like, and stay tuned for more. Your support means the world.